Hey, what's going on? Kerry Sullivan here, answering your triathlon question of the day. And today I got a question from Steve. And Steve wanted to know what kind of triathlon clothing he should wear during a race. And that's a good question. And it kind of depends on what kind of race you're doing and, conditions and things like that. So if a race is colder, you want to account for that. And, after you get out of the water, if the race is below 60s, and it just depends if you naturally just get colder than anyone else. You want to account for that and maybe have some type of windbreaker to wear when you're out on the bike, if that's an issue, or arm warmers or leg warmers to make sure you're comfortable. Especially when you're talking about doing a half Ironman or Ironman, you're going to be on that bike for a long time. If it's cold and windy and kind of nasty conditions, you want to make sure that you're comfortable out there and you're not going to freeze. So it's okay to take a little bit more time in transitions and deal with that and make sure you're okay. Races that are longer too, you might want to consider putting on socks, especially on the run, and make sure that your feet are good to go that way, because it can be a long day if you get to mile 4 of the run on Ironman and you get a big blister. That's going to be a tough one to deal with for the rest of the day. So make sure that you're comfortable that way. Shorter races, basically you don't need to take those kinds of things into account as much. Transitions are a bigger deal, so putting on arm warmers or a windbreaker or whatever it is, if it's colder out, might not be necessary. Again, it depends on how cold you get. Now, what happens too is that in a longer race, you're going to have bathroom stops, or you're probably going to take some here and there when you're out doing an Ironman or whatever. And so a two-piece option is probably going to be better for you versus the one-piece tri-suit. A lot of the one-piece tri-suits zip up from the back too. It depends. There's both that zip up from the back and the front, and so it just kind of depends. But I personally go with the tri-suit. I do shorter races, though. The longest races I do are Olympic distance races, so the bathroom issue really isn't a problem for me. But you can go with a one-piece or two-piece. That's going to be easier that way. And the other thing I tell you, with all your clothing that you're going to wear right next to your skin, make sure it is as tight as you can get it in a comfortable fashion, as long as it's not like cutting off circulation or anything like that. The reason for that is a few things. One, any extra kind of flapping in the wind of your garments on the bike and even on the run can slow you down. The other thing is that kind of bagginess over time can definitely cause chafing, especially when it gets wet. And when you're out there racing, often it's not just because of the swim that you're going to get wet, but you're grabbing water as you run by, and you're splashing yourself or whatever, or just the natural splash that happens when you go for a drink. When something that's baggy gets wet, it can be a real bad thing in terms of chafing. So those are the things you need to consider. Make sure you're comfortable above all else. Make sure it's nice and tight, and just take into consideration the weather conditions. So that is my triathlon tip of the day. If you have any questions, put them in the box below. Feel free to ask me them. I'll make you a video. That's it, guys. Peace and love, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.